All right, I'd like to welcome in now our panel from both sides of the aisle. Alex Zdan, Republican strategist and U.S. Senate candidate, and Democratic strategist, former New York State Senator, and founder of Carlucci Consulting, David Carlucci. Gentlemen, thank you both for giving us some of your time today. So, Alex, we will start with you since we're talking about a Republican president here. A lot to unpack, an hour, 47-minute long speech last night. The president is saying that the nation has been transformed in the past year. So let's listen to some of that.
When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation.
All right. So, Alex, the president's kind of hoping for a bit of a reset ahead of the midterms, which we know are certainly critical. From your perspective, is the Republican Party waking up today pleased with what we heard from the president, his performance, his messaging last night?
This is a great table setter for the midterms for people like me, who's running against Democrat Senator Cory Booker in New Jersey. This is a great message. The State of the Union is strong and getting stronger under President Trump's leadership. Think about the wins that he went through in his speech. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on interest if you buy a car in the United States of America, and a sealed southern border that is not letting a single illegal migrant in since President Trump took office. This is an incredible record of achievement for the American people, and shame on the Democrats who either wouldn't stand for it or, like Cory Booker, didn't bother to even show up to hear the president lay out his plan. This is a great way to kick off the midterm year.
All right, so David, over to you. I mean, there certainly are accomplishments from the president. He didn't, though, introduce a lot in the way of new policy, didn't really acknowledge that many Americans really are right now feeling very concerned about affordability. It remains the #1 issue. As Alex just alluded to there, more than 70 Democrats did skip the speech altogether. Do you think, David, that last night's speech was effective?
Well, I think it was certainly effective. I think Donald Trump basically handed the keys for the majority of the Congress over to the Democrats. Look, if you're going, and my friend Alex here saying that those are the major achievements that you're going to run on, well, good luck. If you're saying mission accomplished, your job is done, the Republicans have lost. The fact is that you could talk about no interest on a car, but you want to buy a new car in the United States, a report came out that the average new car is $50,000. And what is Donald Trump doing? He's saying, well, the interest will be less. Look, I think this guy is living in a fantasy land, and the Republicans around him are making it worse. You look at these cabinet meetings, and half the time is just kissing the president's butt. That is a problem. We need big boy, big girl responsibility. Tell it like it is. Don't, do the rosy glasses. Oh, Mr. President, you're so great. You're so awesome. No, there are real problems in this country. And when you spend this time making it into a campaign rally, instead of empathizing with the American people and talking about what you are going to do to make the grocery shopping at the Piggly Wiggly a little less expensive, that's what you needed to do, and the president did not. It was grandstanding, it was optics, it was talking about issues that are not being talked about at the kitchen table. Maybe we talk about it, political insiders, about some of the nuances, but there was a little there for a future. It was, hey, we're gonna win. Not going to tell you how, not going to tell you who's going to win, but you're going to like it. But I think from my point of view and the American public's point of view, and polling is showing this, is that, yeah, the economy is doing well for the Trump family, but not for the average American. That's a problem for Republicans.
All right, so
it's amazing to me that you see, David, like, if you never watched the State of the Union before, it's a big speech with a lot of pomp and circumstance for every single president of the United States that goes into the well of that House chamber. As I said, the economy is getting stronger. It's getting better. The president talked about 401ks and pensions getting stronger. That helps every single American with a pension and a 401k. Every American who is getting to retirement age and uncertain about their future. Is there more work to be done? Certainly, but Donald Trump is leading the way, along with the Republican Party, in addressing cost of living issues that matter to the average person.
Wait, how he's addressing cost of living?
Yeah,
by
I want
passing on the
gentlemen, I
highest
want to get into
tax
that.
increase.
Let's get into what is actually being presented here. Let's listen to some of what he did say last night when it comes to the economy.
A short time ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. As thousands of new businesses are forming in factories, plants, and laboratories are being built, we have added 70,000 new construction jobs in just a very short period of time. It's getting bigger and bigger and stronger. Nobody can believe what they're watching. One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years.
All right, so Alex, obviously, he wants to point out his wins there, but we heard there at the end, he still is placing a lot of blame on the previous administration, the Biden administration. But polling does show he is losing ground on the economy. So my question for you, Alex, why does there seem to be this disconnect on messaging, at least according to the polls and what Americans are saying?
Well, there is no disconnect because the damage done by the Biden administration to the economy is a simple fact. And President Trump is bringing down inflation. You had that up there on your own chart. Obviously, there's always more work to be done to make the American economy stronger and help the American worker. But President Trump is doing that right now, and he's going to continue to do it. It's important to talk about the gains in the stock market because that increases the value of the retirement plan for every American worker who is invested in one, whether it's a pension or a 401k. It is important to talk about the people who, if they do choose to buy a car, can have the interest be tax-free. It's important to talk about the hardworking people who might be working 2 jobs, who do get overtime, who are not paying tax on that overtime anymore. You cannot look at the president's economic plan and deny that there is a strong commitment to the health, well-being, and financial security of the average American. While Abigail Spanberger is raising taxes on dog walkers, President Trump is delivering for the American worker.
Well, I want to ask you really quickly, and David, I will give you a chance to respond, though. Do you feel, though, in some ways, that is what Biden had a problem with as well? He continued to say that the economy was great, that things were great, but people didn't buy it, and we saw the results during the election.
Well, I don't know if Joe Biden knew what he was saying. The point of the fact is that the American economy is a very large entity, and President Trump has made incredible strides in such a short time.
All right. So, David, we'll go back over to you now. And I want to talk about the Democratic response there. We heard it from Virginia's Governor Abigail Spanberger, who also ran and won on a message of affordability. So let's listen to some of what she said.
Costs are too high in housing, healthcare, energy, and childcare. And I know these same conversations are being had all across this country. Everyday Americans are paying the price. And even though the Supreme Court...
All right, so David, the governor, they're asking at one point if life is better under President Trump. She started her speech with that, ended it with that. What do you make of the contrast that she offered compared to the president's claim of this golden age?
Yeah, look, I think that the president is just not based in reality, and that's the problem. We could point to any economic indicator. Look, I could point to the GDP that you just put on the graph, and that's actually down. We could look at the $1,700 average family that had to pay in these tariff costs. And if we count that as a tax, which it is, it'd be one of the highest tax increases in the history of our nation. So that's the reality. Point to the stock market. Well, the stock market's been up and down. Joe Biden had record highs, and Donald Trump wanted to claim credit for that. So I think that is the bottom line. The American people are saying, when they're asked by pollsters, when they get an opportunity to go to the ballot, that they do not agree with this president. And yes, things are getting worse under this president. That is the reality. And while the president wants to talk about how great things are and that affordability is fake news, every time he says that, another Republican loses. But the biggest problem with all of this is this idea that the Republican Party is getting smaller and smaller, and they've actually become just one person. It's Donald Trump. There's no room for dissenting opinion within the Republican Party, and that is a problem for the American people. It's a problem for our country, and people recognize that. They want a back and forth. They want a strong legislature to stand up and say, hey, if you're going to go to war, you need approval from Congress. If you're going to pass these taxes, these tariffs, you need approval from Congress. You are not a dictator, a king. That is what the Republican Party is coming. I know you don't like those terms, but that is what real people are saying on the street. They're concerned about the power that this president is grabbing. He's wealthing, empowering his family and friends, and the American people are left at the sidelines. Even worse, moving in a negative direction. So that he's hitting all the marks to just hand control of Congress over to the Democrats, and he hit every one of those in this State of the Union address last night.
We're running out of time, but Alex, I do want to give you a quick chance to respond, if you'd like.
Yeah, you know what people really don't like? Their taxes going up. And that's exactly what Abigail Spanberger is doing in Virginia. That is the Democrats' answer to everything. Oh, the economy's in trouble? Let's raise taxes. It's nonsense. It's not going to fly. Democrats like Cory Booker don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the economy. Go to my website, alexbeatsbooker.com for more. Go to my website, alexbeatsbooker.com for more. You're going to get that $1,700 back, David, and I can't wait to see how you spend it.
Wow. The president talk about that
Alex
at all?
Zdan, David Carlucci.
It's likely that will happen. I cannot wait for it.
Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being